record out.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
And this is Sketchbook Nerds. I started this to interview comic book artists and animation artists. And our first guest, the best way to jump right into it is Jonboy Meyers. He has a Kickstarter going on right now. We've known each other for a long time now, huh? So how long has it been? Like 10 years or so? Or more?
I think it's more than that, dude. I think I met you through, who did I meet you through?
Conventions?
Washington, Mark Irwin, and Sean Galloway, I think.
Oh, yeah. So
that must at least 2000, so almost 20 years, dude, believe it or not.
Oh my god.
Was that before Low Orbit?
That was before Low Orbit. Golly, wow, you go.
You have it right there.
Yeah, that was, that's right.
Bam!
So...
Yeah, I did the lettering for his story.
So Jonboy's is back here. His character.
Yeah.
So whatever happened to that character? Is that another thing?
I still have her. It's just I think there's been a half a dozen comics now called Riot Girl. So I don't know. I don't know if I can go back and use that name ever again. I think it was just kind of a placeholder for her anyway. I didn't know what I wanted to call the character.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to that, I mean, I guess what we were trying to do is just get a whole bunch of artist friends to do like an anthology book, and I think it kind of evolved into what was called Pop Gun after that. But
yeah, that kind of that I think that's what happened. But it's kind of weird because all of us were like not part of Pop Gun, so it was kind
yeah. I think only like Mark was or something, but anyway, so I guess let's start from the beginning. Like, where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. I'm kind of an army brat, so we kind of moved all over the place. And my dad was a career army, so we ended up settling in Colorado Springs.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice over there. Yeah, I just went there to visit my aunt. She lives out there with the golf course in their backyard, and like her husband is a doctor in Chicago, so they kind of like commute back and forth to there. But
oh wow, that's cool. Yeah, small world. So so I grew up primarily military, so I always wanted to be on the West Coast, so which I'm on the West Coast now. So I'm in California.
Hey.
So when did you move to the West? I mean, to like California?
I think almost 10 years ago. I was working freelance in Colorado Springs to be exact, and I was working in comics. I was working at Marvel at the time, and I just finished a miniseries with Chris Claremont called Gen X United.
Oh.
And I had some money saved up from that, and my friend Tony Washington, who's a colorist, a mutual friend of ours, also had those colors. Yeah, was working in video games at the time. He's working for Sony, and he asked me if I wanted to try out for a game that he was working on, so I did, and I landed the lead. I guess one of the design leads for the motion graphic stuff that we're doing. We're doing like a bunch of motion comics in between cutscenes of the game called Motors from Apocalypse. So
I think I actually worked on that project too.
Oh, did you?
I think I did. Yeah.
So I did that, and then I facilitate my move out to LA, and I moved out to Glendale, and been out there. Man, I was in Glendale, then I moved further into the valley, and then I moved to Santa Monica, and now I'm in Northern California. So.
Nice.
I think the first time I saw your name, I think weren't you doing marketing for the He-Man?
Yeah, I was actually. My first job in comics was actually not drawing, but it was actually marketing director.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for MB Creations, we did all the He-Man and Masters of the Universe comics.
Mm-hmm.
This is like 98, 99, and 2000, and man, that's going way back. But I did other things besides marketing director. I was also did a lot of art, did a lot of new talent searching, like looking for new IPs for development, a bunch of many hats. Because of course, working in a small company, you don't do just one thing. You try to kind of like use the whole buffalo sort of concept. So that's what we did. It was fun.
That's good.
Was fun.
that's good to know marketing, especially being an artist, to
Right.
have that
Right.
kind of background.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Was that before you did the Marvel stuff, or was that after?
That was before the Marvel stuff. Actually,
Oh.
I was doing the marketing stuff, and this is about the same time that the comics market was starting to tank a bit. Like everyone had a licensed comic out there. So
Yeah.
um,
We were kind of talking about that earlier because when I was at Wildstorm, I was saying the peak of Image was like this, and I got in right here when it was going down.
well, yeah, I mean, timing everything, but I mean,
Yeah.
I still think if you have a great product, you can be successful in a market. You just have to rethink your strategy on how you monetize and how you engage people, because there's other ways to make money, but you do it through the engagement side where you link it back to your store, you sell art, you do prints, you do these other things. But I think for us, like it helped me a lot by just looking at how the sausage is made in the industry, and looking at budgets and being budget conscious and planning out projects more than once of that. And I did that for we did that. I think I left in early 2000 and moved back to Colorado, and I wanted to work in comics. I put together some samples, and this is when Joe Quesada had just launched his website, so I sent Joe some samples, some Spider-Man samples.
Oh.
And because I was about ready to kind of give comics, like, okay, I was going to hang it up. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do these samples. I'm gonna give it 3 months, and if nothing happens, and you know what, I'm just gonna get a real job. Just, keep doing comics on the side. I just
Oh.
What got you into drawing in the first place?
Oh well, my dad actually. My dad would always was a military police officer in the army, and he would always bring home comic books for us. Because usually when GIs would get drunk, they would arrest them, then put them in the drunk hold just so they dry out and let them go the next day. But while they're drying out, they would buy the GIs comic books to read, and then my dad would bring those home for us. So,
Nice.
yeah, that really got me into comics.
Dope.
So like my first comics were like Weird War Tales and GI Robot and Creature Commandos and Sergeant Rock.
Nice.
And and one day my dad brought home a Captain America comic that changed my life. So I was like, oh, wow. And from that moment on, I was hooked, and I would always make and design and draw my own comic books and sell them for 40 cents or
Nice.
a quarter, to the neighborhood kids, and go buy comics with that money.
Oh, cool. So what was your thought process of when you're doing the marketing thing, and did you want to like draw? I mean, was that your main intention, or did you do the marketing thing to kind of get your foot in the door or something, or how did that work?
Kind of both. I thought, well, it's a small company. I could probably get my foot in the door doing some small drawing here and there, even though I wasn't quite ready, which I was able to do. It gave me a unique perspective, though, and just how the importance of budgeting and planning things out. Because when you're running a company that small, you live and die by your budget, and we made a lot of mistakes as far as getting like cover artists, and we would pay these guys like anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000 per cover, which was crazy money.
Wow.
Who does that now, right?
Right.
So we did that. But I mean, I learned a lot. It actually helped me for my own independent career. So when I left, I already knew how to do my own press releases. I knew how to promote myself. I knew how to work within a budget. I knew real time, like what goes on within the comics process. It gave me a better insight on what projects to take and which ones to kind of stay away from. More so now, because the comics has gotten to be much more of a corporate brand thing now than just straight entertainment. So there's more cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. So that makes the whole job a little bit more difficult. But it's helped me kind of figure out like kind of what I want to do and where I want to go with my career. It helps you put more thought into what you're doing. I think, especially because you, as an artist, it's not just about drawing great art. It's about getting your art out there, engaging with people, making sure you have an internet presence.
Being a business,
Yeah, it's the thing about it is it's comic business works on perceived value too. So if you have a very strong social following, and you do pretty decent art, and you're okay to work with, then you can move sales. Like all these things come into a perfect storm of factoring on, okay, who to bring on these guys' books, how well will fans respond to this guy? Will this book sell? How do retailers feel about it? It's all these little micro decisions that factor into people getting placed on books. It's not just because, hey, this guy can hold a pencil and he's good.
Right.
It's also, is this guy marketable? Can people, that goes into that element. The more you get your art out there for people to engage with, the more retailers are used to seeing it.
Right.
It's a lot easier. So when they see your name, they see your art, like, oh, I know this guy. I feel good about. I like his art. I feel good about ordering X number of copies of his books. So,
yeah, I mean that's something like when I was at Wildstrom, it's like, okay, yeah, I got in as a penciler and stuff, but after that, now when I'm on my own, it's like, oh wow, now I have to figure out how to be an actual like freelancer and do this as a business. How do I make money? How do I market myself and everything? So that's a good thing to know, business and marketing. And
well, it's a different time too, because like it's not just, I mean, you're using social media now. Because that wasn't there when we first started, like in the 90s. And so now it's like it's a whole different animal, and some people like kind of totally ignore it and they say, no, I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way and knock on people's doors. But a lot of people aren't answering their doors anymore unless you have like your social media presence. And that's the thing that's like really hard to overcome, I guess. Just that new technology.
Yeah, I think. Well, the thing about it is just like we kind of had something similar to it, because when back in the dinosaur age, when Ryan and I were all doing comics, a thing called Wizard Magazine, which was comics by our was it CBG?
CBG,
weekly that came out, and it was a trade thing. It talked about new artists and new who's hot, what's going on in the industry. It kind of put a bigger spotlight on the whole thing. So that's something I kind of honed in on. I'm like, oh look, you know what? You kind of have to put your work out there in order to get recognized and to be readily more accepted in these things. It's all these things that kind of go to like being a successful artist, because honestly, it's just not enough these days to just be able to draw great, because no one will know you. No one knows. No one's familiar with the work. There's all these little things that you have to overcome. And I think social media is a really great tool to creating fan engagement, and also it's also a great tool to monetize on too, because if you can build a following to where you put out your own product, like say a sketchbook, or your own create your own book, people can buy directly from you via a Kickstarter, or you could set up your own Diamond account,
Patreon or something. It's so much
there's
more
ways to leverage it to where you can be self-sustainable now, especially with leveraging social media and promoting yourself.
And so much more accessible now. I mean, anyone can just go up and do their thing, almost like even like the music industry, where back then it's like you had your own record deal and everything, but now people can go on YouTube and like Justin Bieber or something and then get discovered that way and stuff.
Right.
So it's I feel it's a lot easier, a lot more accessible now, but back then kind of had to figure it out.
You have to be adaptable, because if you're like in like the music industry, you have a very short shelf life now. It's just like video games too. Usually 5 years and you're done. Unless you can build your IP out. The thing about it that you want to be, we'll take for example, like how does an artist like Madonna or Prince or Michael Jackson stay relevant? Is because they always reinvent themselves. So that's the thing, is you have to stay current on modern trends and styles. And I'm not saying to be trendy, but you have to see like, okay, what are the things that I need to, like art is a continuous process, just like music, just like, it's always a learning process. So you have to adapt your style and adapt the things that you're doing in order to meet the current market, because if you don't, you kind of age out of that market.
That's true. It's the upside is that it's accessible, but the downside is that it's accessible and that everyone's doing it, so then there's so much more competition now too, I think.
Well, I think with the comic industry especially, because it's such a global market now, that we're up against guys like all over the world. It's not just, American mythology is drawn by everybody now. It's not just Americans. So, that's something to keep in mind too. It's just, which of course affects page rates across the board too, usually in the downward trend. So you really have to think about like, what can you do to build up your presence and stay relevant, and also stay in the forefront so you can still monetize it. So where if you're not getting a good page rate, you can do other things like set up your own online store again, sell art, you have a market for your art and things like that you can turn around and sell. it's always about like at the end of the day for a freelance artist it's always about like creating that cash flow for yourself because like this is your job. You are your own boss, and you have to really think about like put a lot of thought into like, okay, well, what is my plan here in order to survive financially? Like, say if this book is delayed, or if this book gets canceled, or or whatever. Because like in comics, there's no guarantees for us. Even you could be promised work one minute, the next minute it's oh well, we gave it to somebody else, and sorry, dude.
Right.
It's kind of a hard thing to adapt to. So you have to be adaptable, and you have to be flexible, and you have to kind of have a lot of irons in the fire. But you also need to know, okay, how can I monetize outside of my current existing market? You know what I mean? Because like for a lot of us who work in comics, we also work in animation, work in toy design, and we also work in video games and film. Because it's just like, you never know when we're going to get a job that comes across our plate where it's like, okay, can you do this? Can you do that?
That's what I was thinking too. Is like, I mean, even if we get a job, after that job is over, then another job isn't necessarily guaranteed. I was taking some at a concept design academy. I was taking another storyboard class, and he was saying even if you're good, okay, you get a job, but then after that's over, you're not promised a job just because you're good or whatever all the time. Right. So
well, yeah, exactly. There's no guarantees in the business, so you always have to think.
And there's lulls and stuff too, in between or whatever.
Yeah. So there's you have to be creative in the ways you want to monetize. And I think for me though, I'm kind of looking at the landscape and the horizon now, and it's kind of like, the way. It's very corporate structure now, the way comics are a little bit, at least for me, it's like, is this a viable business model for me? Because, if I'm on like 5 issues for a company, that's theoretically going to take 9 months of my life. And most of that's going to be waiting for the scripts to get done, the artwork, trying to get things staggered out and wrapped up. There's always these production delays. There's always redraws that you have to do. It's much more like because there's so many cooks in the kitchen too. So you have to say, well, if I'm only going to get maybe 5 or 6 issues a year, and I'm only making like maybe let's say you're only making like maybe 10,000 an issue. That's maybe 50 to 60,000. Is that enough for you to survive on? If not, then what's your plan to monetize past that? You can sell the original art. There's no guarantees on original art sales. Do you have an agent? How much goes to them? Are you going to do prints? Are you going to do shows? Are you putting out a sketchbook? You really have to have a really solid plan of like how you want to monetize. And for me, I'm looking at it's better to kind of have your own creator, own thing kind of in the wings or already out there while you're also working for regular companies. Because if your thing takes off, then you can pour your energy into that. It's just the main thing for an artist is you want to stay busy all the time because it's have those lulls and you stop, it's kind of hard to start again sometimes. So you want to always keep those revenue streams going as much as you can.
So that's a perfect segue to the burning thing that's going on right now is your Kickstarter, which is you already hit your goal like what really quick, like in the first day, right?
So I'm running the Kickstarter right now. It went live I think January 28th, and we have like.
We're pretty much right in the middle of it, right? So
we have 15 days ago, so we're just at the middle mark right now. We're at like 33,000 right now.
That's dope.
Yeah, so we'll put a link down there.
Oh, thanks. Thank you guys.
And support it. So tell us more about your sketchbook and what you're trying to do.
It was. I was talking with my wife about like I really want to do this creator-owned thing and. I've had offers already from smaller publishers who want to kind of like bankroll it, and I'm kind of like, I think I've done enough corporate stuff that I've kind of given away and kind of signed away off on that I don't want to make this for me. So I was trying to figure out a way, well, how do I self-finance this? So if I get a development deal or something like that, there's very few people we have to share this with, So we're thinking like, well, if we did a sketchbook via Kickstarter and we just raise enough funds to pay for printing, everyone gets a book, whatever's left, we can roll right into my creator own. That way I don't have to work for anybody else during a couple months. I can just work for myself and get this book done. So I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So
how many pages is it?
It's a 100-page hardcover with slipcase, and it's basically it's one of the truest sketchbooks I've ever done. It has a lot of process stuff, has a lot of my concept stuff in there. So if you're a big process and concept guy,
Yeah, I love that stuff.
concept stuff, costume design stuff like that, this is definitely the book for you. It's pretty much kind of the best of the past like maybe 4.5 years of projects that I've worked on. Anywhere from like Teen Titans to Spawn to League of Legends to Royals, and then a lot of my projected cover ideas and stuff like that from DC. So
Cool.
Oh,
I don't know.
let's please pick it up. Like I'm super appreciative of all the supports it's getting. Like I think we did 20,000 in the first day, and it was funded within like
So dope.
Wow.
Like, it was crazy. Like I really hope it keeps going. It's kind of leveled off a little bit, but I think because it's the middle of the campaign, I think the last probably 10 days is where it starts ramping up again. So
Yeah, let's do it.
trying to figure out how to keep it going. I've been doing free sketch giveaways and stuff like that every once in a while, once a week for all my backers and new backers. That way they get something for free if they, they back. So
Cool.
Right.
So okay, so you're saying, so you're doing this, but then any overflow was gonna go towards your creator-owned book, right?
Right.
So tell us more about that too. I know you kind of wanted to keep it a little bit on the hush, right? But then
you know what?
until it's ready.
So, yeah, like the name of the book is called Princess Dragon Killer, and basically it's in a nutshell, the story is about an elven princess who's the last of her people, who is mantra is all dragons must die, because I'm totally underselling it here, but the dragons were the protector of the realm, and they figured out like, hey, wait, why protect them? We can take over. So they just start taking over. The first people they target is the elves, so they kill all the elves first, and then they're going after the dwarves and the humans and stuff. So
Nice.
this girl who's the last elf gets this magical sword, and she's gonna go stop them. So
Oh, that's cool.
Word.
yeah.
Sounds exciting, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm totally underselling it here, but it's
No.
got a
Yeah.
dragons in it, and I'm just like, oh my God.
People love dragons, man.
That's good. So hopefully in the
Even
future.
if they've been like bears or
Hopefully in the future, maybe we'll do another video when once you're ready, and we'll show more and talk more about it.
yeah, I would definitely want to do that. I think that the most challenging part about being a working artist and doing your own thing is actually trying to carve out time for yourself to get it done. Which is always the most tricky thing, because you're always working job to job to job. So I recommend this to anybody. If you've got a creative itch to scratch, and you think you can write somewhat decently and you have a good idea, like it's worth your time to try to create something and some overflow income for yourself you can set aside to do your own project, because you just never know what's going to be the next Walking Dead or the next Batman. I mean, and the good thing about it is this is your own creation that you put out into the world. So this might become a thing that takes off all on its own. So the idea of do it yourself, DIY, or being your own boss. I mean, these things are, especially today with social media and being able to leverage that, it can be done. And also still work for the big two, of course. I mean, it's always great for Marvel and DC. But I think it's always good to kind of supplement your own income, because you never want to be too dependent on one large entity. Because, I mean, I've got friends who work at Blizzard, and today they just, like, a couple hundred jobs just got laid off.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the nature of business, but the thing is, if you have a couple different revenue streams coming in for yourself, that, if something closes or shuts down, you're like, okay, cool, I can take the energy from that, put it back into this project. It's okay.
So I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but so you said, I mean, so far you've been able to pay for the sketchbook, and you said that you probably have enough to fund the creator-owned book now too, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I'm hoping that we clear at least about 40 to 50 for the Kickstarter, but maybe that's being too ambitious. But I think the more I can get on this end, I can pump back into the book, because I want to be able to pay a team a decent rate. I want to pay a colorist actually a real rate. I want to pay a letterer a realistic rate.
So do you have?
Go ahead.
So do you have an idea of the size of your creator-owned book, or like Is he gonna do? We're gonna do like a series or a mini series or like just one big book.
My hope is to do just single issues. You know, I because I'm working on the pitch right now, and once the pitch is done, I'm gonna send it to a publisher, and if a publisher picks it up, great. If they don't, then of course I'm left with the option: do I just want to do a Kickstarter and do a graphic novel, or do I just want to put this on the web? I'm still kind of playing around with those ideas. Like, I think my fingers are crossed that a publisher will pick it up. Like, someone like Image would be great.
That'd be cool.
I really like their model. Like, since I'm self-financing this, I just need someone to distribute. So, I think that would be the perfect way for me, but it's, of course, up to Image if they would like to have me. But if not, like, you know, Kickstarter is always a viable model, too. I mean, there's guys like Brian Polito and Marat Michaels, Jamie Tyndall, who do all their own books strictly on Kickstarter and are incredibly successful at it. So the market for it, you just have to make sure that people know that channel or that market exists. So that's, again, when you put your marketing director hat on and you go out and you kind of beat the drum too. And that's half of my day most of the time, especially running a Kickstarter. Is, you know, I have like 2 or 3 hours every day devoted to the Kickstarter, and if I'm doing a giveaway, it's even more than that. It's just, you know, you constantly have to put stuff out there and engage with people. It's kind of like that never-ending thing.
Yeah, and then you have to do the stretch goals and everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but even when you're not running a Kickstarter, it is incredibly important to stay in people's mind's eye, because there's a tendency for artists to kind of disappear, and sometimes when you disappear from the public eye, the publisher thinks you've disappeared too. So you have to remember the whole comic industry does work on the perceived value that an artist has. So you have to always try to maintain your visibility as an artist, because people are like, oh yes, Jonboy did this, he did that. You know, you're constantly putting stuff out there. That's kind of what you want to do, is constantly try to have something out on the shelves, or do this or do that, because that's how the retailer mind works. You have to understand that they like that the repetition, where they see these people like, oh yes, okay. So if someone disappears and comes back, it's kind of like, hey, what's going on? So you always want to make them feel good about, like, you know, being able to order your book or putting something that you've done on the shelf, because they have the confidence that they know that they can make money off of that. So
Well, I guess we can wrap this one up.
I know you got some work to do. So.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got covers to do. I got covers, and I gotta work on this Kickstarter thing.
Yeah, man, bang on them.
So we'll put the link in the description for his Kickstarter. Help back Jonboy and help him get to 40, 50.
Do it.
More.
That would be really nice. You know what? Even if people can't buy a book, if you can just support it by just, you know,
sharing that link. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always great too. If not, you know, the best way to support my comic, if you can't pick up the book too, is you know, just go to your local comic book shop and pick up a comic book. You know, there's a lot of talented people out there, and I think our industry stays alive by everyone else picking up books and reading. So that's what we need. And
Word up.
We really appreciate it.
Cool.
Word up.
Yeah. So we want to, if you have comments or questions below, put them down there, and
subscribe.
Yeah, we may have some more guests that they may answer your question, or we'll answer your question, like one of us, or yeah,
just ask stuff.
Just ask those questions, and you know, we'll see what we can do.
On that note,
all right. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you later.
See you later, man. Bye.